Hello and welcome to PSL on the Mic. This is our very first episode of the city's official podcast. We're so happy that you're with us today. The goal of this podcast is we just want to break down some really, really important topics that are essential for our residents to know about. And today, since it's our very, very first episode, we have a special guest with us today. We're super honored and excited to have our very own Mayor Martin with us. How are you?
Hi, Maureen.
You doing well?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. How was your 4th of July weekend? Did
It
you do
was
anything fun?
Awesome. Went camping. Got to see my daughter in college. So it's great to spend time with her.
You're a big camper.
Yes.
I want to have you back for another episode to talk about camping. Because we have McCarty Ranch.
Yes.
And it's like the perfect atmosphere for someone with RV or without an RV to go and camp. So today we are here, very first episode, to discuss a topic that everybody seems to be talking a lot about. We're coming up to the 1-year anniversary, I think. September 5th was the first official day of our new solid waste hauler.
Yes.
So our discussion today is about garbage. Now, we're going to base a lot of our episodes resident-driven, and a lot of the chatter on social media has to do with the garbage pickup. It's gotten remarkably better, but there are some concerns that people have. The main concern, the number one concern, I think, is the flies and maggots. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, maybe how residents can prevent those from occurring? And then we have a couple other topics of concern as well.
Sure. I love this. I love the ability to just really straight talk and to be able to communicate with our residents and give them the facts. A lot of times, as we know, social media, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yes, ma'am.
So this provides that opportunity just to provide the facts and give factual truth about what's going on in our city. And so, yeah, with the flies that we have and with the maggot situation, we saw it a lot when we had tons of garbage sitting at the curbside for weeks at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have the once-a-week service. With the flies, it's hot. It's Florida. It's the summer. Plus, we've had a summer that has been even hotter than normal.
I believe yesterday, according to the Weather Channel, some weather meteorologists, it was the hottest day on record on planet Earth ever.
Absolutely.
So.
It's, really across the state.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that in the summer months, flies tend to come out more. If you're outside and you're having a picnic somewhere, you could put food out, and within 5 minutes, there's like 100 flies all over. So they are cold-blooded insects. They come out more in the heat. They seek some cooler refuge, and they are attracted to smells and to garbage. And so, unfortunately, we're seeing more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of things you can do to make it so that the flies don't come around.
Yeah. For instance, I think you do this as well. I don't double bag my garbage, but I make sure it's really tied tightly and that I don't throw meat scraps away until like the morning of or even the night before. And that would probably help.
It would help a lot. In my home, we don't have the issue. We do tie our bags very tightly. We make sure the garbage can is clean and there's not, food or juices or liquids in the bottom of the can that can attract bugs, and make sure the lid is closed tightly. Some people, like I do, I store it in my garage. At the end of my garage are garbage carts. But as long as they're closed tightly, even if you do have to store them outside, you're less likely to get the flies coming.
That easily is the number one concern that I'm seeing on social media. I'm even seeing comments on posts that don't have to do with garbage. I feel like that's just the outlet people are using now. I'm sure you get phone calls at city council. We get emails all the time. But the flies and maggots people are claiming are coming because we have once a week service. Now, I know several Florida cities have once a week garbage pickup. It's a lot of places across the country. Now, mind you, they're not as hot as Florida, but there are several cities locally too that have 1 week pickup. Now, is there a reason? Could you explain a little bit about maybe the FCC contract and why we decided on once a week? And then we can delve into a little bit more of the money part of it too.
So when we went through the crisis with the garbage, we all know that the garbage was starting to sit at the curbside, and we were having the issues with yard waste prior to that. So the council decided to have a solid waste task force, take a look at our contract, take a look at what other cities are doing around the state, because our contract with our former vendor wasn't negotiated for many years. We had a long-term contract with the same price for many years. And so we knew off the bat that because of the economy that we were in, with the market that we were in, that our costs were going to be much higher. And so we asked the task force to kind of benchmark us across the state and what other cities were doing. And really, one way to keep the costs down was to go to once a week service. And we knew that several cities like Stewart, just south of us, went to once a week service, and it's been very successful. So the main reason was to keep the cost down, because we knew that the cost for twice a week service was going to be exponentially higher, 30 to 40% higher than any cost that we would get for the once a week service. And so it was recommended to do that by the task force. So that's why we went to it.
And another thing that I'm seeing too is that, a lot of residents are extremely happy with the current service that we have, and they're fine with once a week. So why change it for the entire city and raise the price if it's going to be twice a week? Now, has council, have they thought about maybe a referendum about and letting the voters choose, kind of like what we did with the half-cent sales tax?
So from the beginning, when this started with people complaining with the flies and maggots, and knowing that our costs would be much higher if we went to twice a week, because like you said, some people are very happy with the once a week. There's 3 people in my household now. I'm fine with the once a week, but some people have bigger families and they like the twice a week service. But when we're looking at the cost factor, I said right from the beginning, okay, what is it going to cost for us to go to twice a week service, and what does that entail? And so I asked the city manager to get that information. And right off the bat, I knew it was going to be higher, and it was. They told us. And they also said, FCC, now remember, we're in a 7-year contract with FCC. So any changes that we make, we're going to have to agree to. And they're going to have to do a lot of steps in order to get us there. We're looking at a year before they would be able to even put it in place. We would be looking at them having to buy 16 more trucks. We'd have to go back to 6 days a week service from them.
Okay, to include Saturday.
Extra day. They'd have to hire more people.
And train those people.
And train them and reroute the entire system that they just did less than a year ago. So back when we had the original contract, or when we went to the emergency contract, we only had 6 months time in order to get that contract in place. And typically a solid waste contract takes 12 to 18 months to negotiate. So we were working at light speed in order to get it done, to make sure we had garbage service. But given things that we've learned, and because of the fact that we would have more time, I stated right from the beginning that I would be willing to put it out to referendum, because it affects everyone in the city, and let our citizens decide if that's what they want. I have many people that love the once a week. I have several people that don't like the once a week and want twice a week. But it's all going to be about, are you willing to pay 30 to 40% more than our current rate is? Because costs are not going to go down.
No, they're not.
And you know what? It's hard, to be frank, it's hard to expect to pay the same for a service for a contract that was negotiated, 7 to 10 years prior. With the cost of everything going up, you are going to have to make service changes, and you are going to have to do things to mitigate those costs. So I'm sorry that we had to go to the once a week. I'm sorry that the service isn't the same, but over time you have to adapt and you have to change.
But overall, my garbage is getting picked up, I think, before 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So overall, the service has, aside from the fact that it's once a week and some people are getting flies and bugs. The service has been fantastic, at least at my home. And I haven't really been seeing, again, social media, emails. We haven't really been getting calls about, or 1PSL calls even, that garbage is not getting picked up, or yard waste or bulk or anything.
No, the service is so much better. The trucks are more efficient because they're automated and they don't require two people and people jumping in and out of trucks. But overall, our service has been great from FCC. And we've had some challenges with the bulk, but especially it being once a month now.
Mm-hmm.
But that has leveled out. And we have the Cameo Crosstown site for people who wish to dispose of extra bulk, in between the month-to-month service that they get. And yard waste is being picked up regular, unlike our prior service where we're sitting out for, 4 to 6 weeks at a time, maybe longer.
And that's a nice segue too, because I wanted to touch on that too. It's hurricane season now. Knock wood, will be okay. But if we do have a hurricane, tropical storm, anything that can, lift these palm fronds up that are out in front of people's homes, stuff is getting picked up. And we even have emergency crews. City last year helped out when, if there is a storm and we do have extra yard waste out in front of people's homes.
Right. The one thing about hurricanes, unlike other disasters, is time. We know a hurricane is coming and we have time to prepare for that here in Florida. So when you know a hurricane is coming or a storm is coming, you have the opportunity to put the yard waste out on your day. Or if you have extra, go to the Cameo site.
And they do take yard waste at Cameo.
Yes.
Yep.
Yard waste and bulk waste can go to the Cameo site. So we do have that opportunity. And like you said, we did have emergency crews out during the storm event when it gets closer. Unfortunately, our residents, some of them have a tendency, instead of when a storm is coming, to not put out waste. That's when they go and they start clipping everything. And then they get in a rush to put it out. And that makes it so that our public works crews or our code guys have to go out and pick it up.
Right. And then we always try to send out e-newsletters. We now have texts that we can send out to people. People have to sign up. We'll talk about that later. To make sure that we'll put it on social media. We'll put it everywhere and just say, hey, a storm is coming. We have extra crews out, but don't trim your trees. Don't put out bulk waste. And as far as bulk waste, my neighborhood is great. Everybody's been really awesome about keeping their carts 3 feet apart, because that's very important, especially with the automation. So the arms can come up and lift them. I'll go and talk to my neighbors that I'm friendly with, most of them, and tell them, hey, they're not going to pick this up. Something's coming out of your recycle bin. Make sure that you crush it and bend it and make sure it's in that green bin. But there are some people that do still have bulk out whenever they want to. I would want to approach them, but we do have to emphasize that we have a map at cityofpsl.com/solid waste that has the map of the entire city and when your bulk waste day is. Actually, when every day is your regular garbage, yard, and bulk waste. But it is once a week or once a month, but it depends on where you live in the city.
Right.
So we try to make sure we emphasize. We'll put out stuff periodically about, hey, remember bulk is just once a week. And again, Cameo. If you don't have access to a truck to bring your stuff out to Cameo, maybe a neighbor can help you. Or unfortunately, you can wait until your one last bulk day.
Right.
But are you guys up at City Hall or City Council hearing anything else that we haven't really discussed about anything? Not many complaints except for the fly situation, probably.
No, and actually the complaints have died down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they're out there, but I think it's just important for everyone to know that you really need to make sure your garbage is not loose. It's in bags. It's tied tightly. And then, unfortunately, if you're doing that, but your neighbor is not, and the cans are outside, then that's going to attract flies too.
Sure.
So the best thing we could do is all be very neighborly and consider the fact that we should all be disposing of our trash the correct way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add? We just wanted to make sure that this is the most important conversation that's happening right now is the garbage issue, mostly the once a week, but hopefully that we can maybe remedy that in the future with a referendum. Is there a time? Explain that a little bit.
Sure.
What would the time frame? We are coming up on an election year next year.
Yeah, so next year is an election year. If we are going to go to referendum, and that's what the council decides to do when we do talk about this issue, I would prefer to do it in 2024, because if we do it in 2023, there are no elections this year, and that means we'd have to do a special election, and that would cost the city about $250,000 to $350,000. And I don't really think it's worth it to spend that kind of money when we know, we're already in July. So next year we'll have an election year, and that could get put on the ballot if the council decides to do that.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Mayor, for coming to our very first episode. You'll be with us actually once a month.
Yes, this is very exciting.
And we'll be discussing issues that range from growth and development to taxes to major construction projects that are going on and road projects. But we're also going to have another guest come in. I believe we're going to try to get someone from emergency management to talk about hurricane season coming up. The port is on its way to being finished, hopefully early 2024, I'm hearing.
Yes.
So we might have somebody in about that. And we have tons of parks, big regional parks being built. So we're going to have discussions about that. And we also want to remind everybody, too, that this is a resident-driven podcast. So we want everybody's ideas. So we've set up a web page where people can eventually input and share ideas with us about what they want us to talk about.
Absolutely.
So.
I would love to know what people want us to talk about. Whatever topic, I'm happy to talk about when I have my once a month with you, because that's what's important, is to answer the questions and be factual about what our residents want to hear about and know about. There's a lot of topics. There really are. So, and
that's what I love too about working for this city too, is we're very transparent. We try to be as open as possible. And that's why we want to have you on here once a month. So, and for those of you who are actually listening to us, we are on Spotify podcasts and Apple Podcasts as well, but we're video recording this too. So we can kind of show off this beautiful new podcast studio that we blood, sweat, and tears went into over about a period of a month or so. So also tell us how you like that. But we are on YouTube, and we're going to have everything at that website. It's cityofpsl.com/podcast. Everything will be listed there for you. If you can watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But we're really looking forward to this. This is my first dive into podcasting.
Me too.
I would rather it just be audio, but my colleagues seem to think that video is also the way to go. So, but I'm excited because we get to show off this beautiful studio. And I think putting a face to names as well. I'm kind of a behind the scenes person. You're out there all the time, but no one knows who I am. So I hope they get to know us a little bit better and the rest of our city staff here. So.
Absolutely. And beautiful job on the set. This is a total DIY project, and the team did a great job. It's better than I could have ever expected. That's for sure.
Yeah. It took a couple weeks of just trying to figure it out. We wanted something that was sleek and modern. These wood structures here were just a pile on the floor that we both looked at and were like, wow, this could be, a centerpiece for our studio. So, yeah, I think it turned out really great. So we're super excited. So again, if you want to watch our beautiful faces, you can see us on YouTube. You can just search for City of Port St. Lucie. And we are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. And we can't wait to hear what you guys want us to chat about. So until then, have a great time, guys.
Yep. See you next time.